Tun Abdullah also cancelled other projects that government had committed to when I was Prime Minister, and this started to cause antagonism between us. This was not a question of legacy but continuity as a government. We had a duty to put forward programs and policies for public use over the long term. The public, investors, employers, service providers must all be able to depend on the government being consistent. Cancelling government commitments, despite Tun Abdullah having been a part of the decision-making process from the beginning, went against all that. Perhaps he had his own reason for cancelling those commitments, but in any case, I made my objections clear, and it was obvious that I will not be accepted as advisor in whatever he proposed to do. Despite this, I remain committed to the government of the Barisan Nasional. I let it be known that I would always be available to help the government in election campaigns. And just over a year after taking over, Tun Abdullah decided to call for a general election. So during the 2004 election, I spoke at rallies in all states except Terengganu. In the northeast of Peninsular Malaysia, the state UMNO leadership had decided not to renominate the late Tan Sri Muhammad Ahmad, who had been Menteri Besar for 5 terms from 1974 to 1999. And while I agreed with the party decision, I did not want to hurt his feeling by not supporting him. For my part, I felt that it was important to set an example as a former government leader. I had always felt that many senior members of the government, ministries and members of parliament, the various Menteri Besar and the state chief ministers disappeared from the stage once they were no longer in office and would make no effort to help the party win. I believe that members who had received strong support from the party before should pay back by helping the party during elections. So at these rallies, I emphasized that Tun Abdullah was a good man and that supporting him was important for political continuity. The election results amazed evenly. Under Tun Abdullah, the Barisan won a 90% majority in parliament, far more than the 2/3 achieved under me in the previous 5 elections. Apparently, the people were happy with the change of leadership. Not long after that, however, it became clear that Tun Abdullah was not equal to the challenge before. It was a great disappointment to me, because he initially seemed to appreciate the rationale behind the many development projects needed to keep the economy vibrant and moving. It was under Tun Abdullah's watch, for example, that the fortunes of Proton, the national car company that I had worked so hard to establish and develop when I was Prime Minister, declined precipitously. It was during this period that Proton sold off for €1. The Italian motorcycle company MV Agusta, which it had earlier bought for more than 200 million, the buyers later sold the company for 109 million. Tun Abdullah then announced several major infrastructure projects, including the second Penang Bridge, a monorail for Penang Island, and extension to the light rail transit system in the Klang Valley. Among other things, there were also other economic development initiatives for the key regions in the country, all of which were set to cost billions of ringgit. It might have been acceptable the next 4 years after the 2004 general elections should Tun Abdullah to have been partial towards members of his family. His children and his son-in-law Khairi Jamaluddin Abu Bakar seem to have unprecedented access to the government, and it was alleged that they even attended official government meetings. When Khairi contested the post of Deputy Chief of Youth Wing of UMNO in 2004, I heard that close family members actually telephoned instruction to youth members to vote for Khairi and not Mukris, my son, who was contesting against him. Khairi won. This was particularly shameful event for UMNO. Some of my critics said that I did not attend the opening of the UMNO General Assembly that year because my son Mukris had been defeated by Khairi. But the real reason I did not attend was because UMNO youth had directly and openly affirmed the politics of corruption. The youth wing of the party had spoiled the image of UMNO and the image of the Malays. Money had become more important than the Malay community and the country. UMNO had once been at the forefront of this struggle for decades, and now I felt as if I would be tainted if I participated in a ceremony with so many people who supported corrupt practices. I also wondered why the task of counting the votes of the 790 delegates took more than 6 hours. Had something been done to ensure the victory of Tun Abdullah's son-in-law? After Khairy's victory, a number of his friends began to exercise undue influence over the government. There were encounters on the 4th floor of the Prime Minister's office. A number of complaints were raised about how the 4th floor boys interfered in government business. For example, the state of Terengganu had the biggest offshore oil reserve and stood to gain a lot by way of oil and gas royalties. However, Terengganu was under a party Islam Malaysia PAS state government, which was opposed to the Barisan Nasional at the time, and thus it was decided that the federal government would manage the so-called Wang Ehsan. This literally means compassionate fund, charity. Suddenly, there appeared a man, Datuk Patrick Lim, who was not a member of the government, but who was Khairy Zamaluddin's business partner. Lim seemed to be so favoured by Tun Abdullah that he became known as Patrick Badawi, and he was put in charge of spending the Wang Ehsan. So he built hotels, the fabulous Crystal Mosque, and many other costly projects, including luxury homes for sale to foreigners, a theme park, and more. He also brought a yacht race, the Monsoon Cup, to Terengganu on a 5-year contract, and all it was paid for with the Wang Ehsan. Admittedly, some of these projects were very good, but many were entirely unnecessary and wasteful.